Greetings everyone, this is Wayoff, here today with my personal take on the XF5F skyrocket. This was the second gift aircraft from the War Thunder Christmas missions, and it is a naval fighter rated at Tier 3. Now, for a little historical background, the skyrocket was a prototype naval fighter put forth by the Grumman Air Company in 1938 as per a requirement by the US Navy. It has a unique wing structure, as you can probably see right now, with the wing not quite meeting with the nose, like halfway on, and it also is unique for being a twin-engine naval fighter at the time. On top of this, the propellers of the skyrocket spin counter to each other. This was done supposedly to eliminate engine torque, which was to promise greater top speed and climb rate. Now, the first prototype aircraft flew in 1940, and after modifications from the results of the early flight test, it was put into a competition in 1941 by the Navy against the P-40 Warhawk, the P-39, the Corsair, the Wildcat, the Buffalo, even the Spitfire, and a Bell prototype called the Air Bonita. And while it was reckoned at the time to be very outstanding as an aircraft, with very outstanding flight characteristics, and indeed supposedly blew away a lot of the other planes in a lot of categories, it was reckoned to be too hard to procure parts for it or to manufacture it in a mass production setting, so the Navy went with the F4F Wildcat. Now, for how the plane is rendered in War Thunder, it seems to match up pretty well with the characteristics I've seen thus far in my light research I did on the aircraft beforehand. In the game, it indeed does have quite an impressive climb rate and turning time. Its turning time, in fact, is around 18 seconds. Which is a good 3 seconds off most American fighters in that bracket. Even the P-51 Mustang only has a 21-second turn time. The climb rate is also quite substantial at 31.7 meters a second, as opposed to 18 meters a second with most Tier 3 and Tier 4 American fighters. The real downside I feel for this aircraft is in its armament. As far as I've seen with the light research I've done, it originally had provisions for two 20mm cannons, and these were revised to 4 12mm guns instead. Now in game, it has two 12mm guns and two 7mm guns. This is not really going to cut it, in my opinion, at higher tier games, where a lot of aircraft can take quite a beating and they have a lot more firepower than you do. And with a battle rating of 4.7, you may be a Tier 3 aircraft, but you are going to see a lot of Tier 4 aircraft in your face constantly. P-51s have already proven to be a big problem for me, because you can outturn a P-51, and you can outclimb a P-51, but he can outshoot you. He has 2 or 3 times the firepower you do, and he's a great deal faster. Another problem I've seen with the aircraft is its lack of durability. It seems like anyone that so much as breathes on this aircraft does major damage to it. And I've had multiple cases where in one short burst, both my engines are on fire and my wings are falling off. And it seems to happen with almost any caliber of weapon, and I don't know if that was the intent, but for the moment, this aircraft might as well be a firecracker. Now, we can also definitely say that the skyrocket gets a really good rewards if you can manage to hit someone and damage them in some way. With 200% research and I believe 100% gold bonus, I mean, you can stand to make quite a fair penny with this aircraft in your lineup. However, the repair cost is double any aircraft around its tier, for the exception of the XP50, the other premium aircraft. And that kind of puts a dampener on it once you're out of free repairs, which you do get plenty of at first, but it's going to run out, and then you're going to be stuck paying almost 5,000 lions if things go really wrong for you in a fight. Now, unfortunately, to compound its earlier issues, I, in particular, have been suffering a lot of graphics glitches related to this aircraft model. Some that have rendered it completely unplayable, and while I have made minor fixes, I've received suggestions, and stuff works for a little while, inevitably it comes back to glitching out, and that's essentially me losing a plane every time this occurs. Now, we'll deal with that later, but for the moment, let us go to some short replays of some fights I had earlier this week once I received the aircraft, and it wasn't glitching out horribly on me. Okay, and here we are on the first replay. This is a Sicily air domination battle, and this is me using the skyrocket as my lead plane. Later on, you'll see me try to use it as a second or third plane after I have a theory, hopefully, that after pilots have started mixing in more, that I can use it with a bit more independence and not worry about getting singled out every time I show up. So I'm still using boom and zoom with this plane, partly because it's so incredibly light and easy to damage, and it just becomes a habit when you play the American tree for any period of time, I think. I'm not really used to this thing's turning, and honestly, the turning carries me away a lot of the time. Like, you'll see here that I kind of just go after targets willy-nilly, and I don't think enough about my current situation. And here's me just strafing an XP50 that for some reason I thought was alive until I noticed he was pinwheeling out like that. That was really wasted. And after getting those hits, I decided to run because I know I got two guys coming back on my tail. As you can see here, the maneuverability definitely isn't that bad, and it's a reasonably fast aircraft for Tier 4. Definitely not as fast as my Pursuers, however. And you can also see that after only a few shots, parts of the fuselage are already going red. I think this problem with high damage is going to become a lot more apparent really soon. As I'm braking towards the lake now, trying to drag the enemy into more friendlies, I'm about to suffer another pass. And I think I only got hit 2 or 3 times right there. And there goes my engine. Now, the door breaks away. Or no, that's just a Focke-Wulf 198. It's not the door. As you see, my engine's out. But also look how fast I was able to whip back around and get on the tail of this 190 here. The plane almost pulls a hairpin turn without a problem. So we do get the kill claim for him. My left engine has spun out entirely now. And honestly, it's not terrible because the skyrocket's it's decent on one engine. But you do slow down enough that pretty much every fighter, even several tiers below, can catch you. Knowing that, I'm just going to go full bore here. The LA5 clips me while he's on fire. It makes everything worse. And we're doing one more head-on pass with the P-51 because I know I'm done at this point. And we get the assist. He gets me. He gets got. Alright, so here we have our second replay, which is another air domination round. And this is me using the skyrocket as my second plane. Again, as I discussed in the first short replay, I wanted to see what would happen if I came in a bit later with this aircraft instead of during the initial engagement, to see if I could get more out of its maneuverability. I didn't want to be singled out anymore because it seemed like a lot of people singled out the skyrocket in previous games, especially in the initial pass. So here we are, coming in on a Yak 3. And again, speed's pretty good. Maneuverability's pretty tight, but I don't open my, I don't put my flaps down, so I kind of lose it trying to chase him around. That didn't go so well, but I still got the assist. And I'm hopefully going to use what energy I have to put some distance in between me and anyone who is looking to attack me. Still really worried about having that glass jaw. And we are coming back in. And like most fights on this map, it's all about C every time. That was a poor dive on my part. That's, as I said in the previous replay, this plane kind of makes me stop thinking after a while about the older tactics I used with the other American planes. I need to think my attack patterns out more, if at all possible. But honestly, even though this thing's got a ton of maneuverability, I think it is the boom and zoom that's still going to save me. Because when I'm out on these wide passes, you don't see other planes going after me so much. They are staying in the furball instead of coming after me. And as you can see, we have a B-17 that I thought about chasing because, I don't know, my mind's like, points, points, I can shoot this thing and get money. And I realized I probably shouldn't, because he's not going to accomplish much. So, back into the furball on C. And we're coming in on this BF-109C. It's a decent pass. We get some hits, but not enough to actually get the kill claim. He does go down. Again, diving back out. And again, even though I'm practically blacking out, these turns are so tight compared to the other American fighters around this tier. Get another few hits in. Don't even know what that was. And this, I should not have turned into another fight. I should have kept going out. And I pay for it really quick. I'm already taking hits. I do get that Spitfire. And yep, they're on me now. And again, shouldn't have gone for the Ju-87. Like I said, the turns get me. I want to chase stuff. And I take a few hits, and already engine's going out, tail's gone, everything's gone. And, yeah, a few hits, plane's toast. And we skid into the forest. And here is our final replay. This is Desert Coast. And this time I am using the skyrocket as my leadoff. I come in right as I get hit for not paying attention by a P-51, who takes several fine chunks out of my plane already. You can even see the giant holes it's left in it. And I try to chase him in the dive, but frankly, P-51s are a good clip faster than me. And there was no way I was going to catch him, but I think I was more angry than anything. And apparently not only is he faster than me, but he has more trouble pulling out. So, yep, eats the earth there. And here you can see the aforementioned climb rate earlier in the video. This thing can really get up there pretty quick. And yeah, it loses speed, but not too badly. If you have some energy coming into that climb, you're going to get up there really quick before you lose too much speed and be able to come back around. And I have to say, looking at this review now, this is only a few times I've considered Desert Coast map. It actually is pretty nice looking, pretty huge. But I do like it for low flying, not this high flying business. I kind of like flying around the mountains and stuff and being a hot shot and usually getting shot down for it. Either way. And here's me picking up on my next target, hopefully, an F4U. I'm kind of indecisive about this, and it takes me just a little too long to decide. They kind of make the decision for me. F4U takes his stab at me. I manage to get away from him, come back around, try to get the Spitfire, totally fail with that angle. Again, this plane's maneuverability haunts me on so many levels because I always forget what I should be doing. I just want to turn into stuff. But here it's helping me get onto the tail of this Corsair, get some good hits on him. He's pretty much flying upside down at this point. And I'm not really steady on the shot here, and a lot of bullets go wide. But I can easily follow him down with this plane's maneuverability. It's really good for this sort of thing. And eventually, though, I realize he's pulling me towards friendlies for him, so I am out of there. Using that nice maneuverability to just turn all the way back around and head out. And like I said earlier, I do enjoy indulging in terrain flying on maps like this. It usually gets me into trouble. Here's going to be one of those situations where it does. You saw that F109 go by with his smoke on. I see that a lot in high tiers, people putting smoke on before they start a fight. And there's the Corsair, finally dead. Now what I don't realize, the BF-109's kind of following me at this point, and I did not think about that. And as I come back around, there he is. And there I go. Short pass, engine's toast. And on fire, no less. It just does not take much. And this fact right here This is what keeps me from really enjoying this plane or wanting to employ it further. It just feels so fragile. It just blows up so easily. So, what do I think overall of the Skyrocket? I honestly don't think it's a plane for me. It's too fragile, and it's such a change up from the rest of the American planes I fly. I mean, I fly Thunderbolts, I fly Airacobras and King Cobras with much lower turn rates, much lower climb rates. I tend to forget what I should be doing when I use the Skyrocket because it's magnificent having just UFO-like capabilities to some degree. You can almost turn on a dime. You can fly straight up into the sky with almost no problem whatsoever. And that just gets me killed a lot. And the plane is very, very fragile. The clips I showed you are just part of a norm for me where like one or two shots and both engines are on fire half the time. I got lucky with only one clip where one engine was on fire. And the guns don't sell it for me because I can take 3 times as long to take out a plane, even when I'm really accurate, as a bunch of people with nose-mounted 20mm cannons or higher are doing already, even at lower tiers. So I don't think anyone really missed out with this plane if they did not get it for the holiday event. And you know, maybe that's a good thing because again, it was kind of a gift aircraft in Gaijin's terms of what gift is. So, you know, if you want something like this and you didn't get it, and even if you did, I would go, if you're willing to, throw down money on the XP50 instead of looking at the Skyrocket here. Because it does around the same stuff, it has the same rewards, it costs the same amount of money to repair and upkeep, but it has 20mm cannons, and trust me, that makes a big difference. And the airframe isn't that much bigger, so it's not that much of a larger target. In fact, after this, I am actually considering getting one, just to see how that handles in combat. I've seen people that are much happier with it than the people who fly a Skyrocket are. Now, before I go entirely, I would like to touch again on the graphics errors I mentioned earlier with the aircraft. They seem to center along wherever the cursor is on the screen, and it just causes the screen to spaz out heavily. Or at least that's what started happening now. Previously, I'd get weird things like a distortion that runs the length of like an imaginary cube that surrounds the plane and turns with the plane, even tilts with the plane. And that was bad, but still playable. And then later, it got to the point where, you know, it caused screen tears and all sorts of stuff. And I've reset, I've changed the paint scheme, I've gone into practice and done a bunch of things that were suggested to me on places like Duxter, and it's still not working for too long. It lasts a few fights and then it's done again. So yeah, what you're watching is a progression from good to bad to worse as far as that glitch goes. And you know, I may not like the plane, but I really hope Gaijin takes the time to fix this because I think we could do with that much. So, until next time, good luck out there.